just waiting eagerly to see what I can learn today.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you very much, Temitope. Just to also say that we are streaming live on YouTube. If there is anyone who would like anyone that might not be able to join through Zoom can also still join via the WhatsApp. You can talk to your friends and anyone who is on the go that can also join on WhatsApp. Okay. All right. Thank you, Temitope. One more thing, Anthony, please, can you admit people so that I can concentrate on this? Can go ahead to, I think, mute participant upon entry. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to be introducing Daniel while we start this session. Daniel is a result-driven senior product manager with over 6 years experience leading the strategy, development, and delivery of digital products across health tech. So SaaS, I don't know if anybody knows that's service as a software as a service, and also brand innovation, right? It specializes in building cross-functional alignment, translating complexities into clarity, and delivering products that scale with purpose and precision. He's currently the VP of products at Pharmaserv, a health tech organization with footprint in Nigeria, Kenya, Senegal, and Canada, where he leads the product vision, strategy, and execution across multi-market teams, driving innovation, scalability, and user-centered solution. At the core of his work, he has a passion for solving real user problems through structured execution, agile leadership, and strong stakeholders collaboration. He has led distributed products across Nigeria, the UK, and India, driving outcome like a 70% increase in team retention and product expansion within and beyond Africa. With certification in PMP and Scrum, and a strong foundation in management, business analysis, and tools like Power BI, Jira, Figma, and Asana, he bridged the gap between product vision and practical delivery. Whether launching software as a service platforms, optimizing processes, or navigating growth transition, it brings calm leadership, data-driven decision-making, and user empathy to every product and lifecycle stage. He's currently focused on roles that allow him to build products that empower people and improve lives, especially across emerging markets. This is one thing that I love about Daniel, is the fact that he has been in the field long before this whole tech buzz, right? And he has the experience, to come in here and then also, pass that same knowledge to us. So I hope that this is going to be a quite insightful session, and I'll be welcoming Daniel Momo to take the stage. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. The mic is yours now.
Thank you very much, Kingsley, and good morning to everyone again. It's so nice to have us here. It's so nice to have us here. So, all protocols observed, I'm going straight into this, but even before I do that, I want to say a big thank you to the Wave team and the Wave alumni also. The Wave team for putting this together and the Wave alumni for being a part of this. Yeah, we have entered a part of a century that has placed a huge demand on our capacities. Yeah, it's not just about what we used to know, but now we have discovered that what we used to know is rapidly becoming irrelevant as the days go by. And it's just as if every day we wake up to a new day, we wake up to something new. We wake up to a new tool, we wake up to a new idea, we wake up to a new invention, we wake up to a new launch. And in all honesty, and I think you would agree with me, it can be overwhelming. Yeah. And at some point in my life, I struggled so much with clarity. Yeah. Being someone who is multi-talented, um, I struggled with clarity. Yeah. What I should be doing part time to ensure that I remain relevant. And that's one of the reasons why I do this. That's one of the reasons why I'm a mentor, because I know that as we progress, as we make progress in especially in the business ecosystem, a lot of people are struggling. Where do I start? Okay, I have started. How do I continue? Okay, I'm continuing, but I'm not seeing progress. How do I pivot? Okay, I have pivoted once, twice, and I'm still not where I think I need to be. What else do I do? People have these questions. Yeah. And one thing that we face every day is change. Now, change in itself can be positive, it can be negative. But even beyond change and its relative outcomes, um, we have evolution. We have always had evolution, but the rapid rate at which evolution is happening now is quite scary. Yeah. And as we all know, evolution is not a cheerleader here. It doesn't really care about positive or negative. What it cares about is what works well enough to keep an organism alive long enough for it to reproduce. It only cares about the next stage. It only cares about thriving. Yeah. In the 19th century, we had the industrialization era, yeah. And then humans basically leveled up their relationship with energy, movement, information. That's when we had the steam engines, the telegraphs, and all of that. We had the kind of things that would make our ancestors think that we were into sorcery here, because what they couldn't imagine then was happening. Yeah. So to them, it would be uncomfortable, but to people that lived in that era, it was reality. Down to the 20th century, when we started to have where electricity became normal, we had more scientific discoveries, we had antibiotics extending the lifespans of people. We had the computers, we had nuclear power, we had the internet, and all of that. It was an era of power. Humans exuded power with the kind of tech that was coming into play. And down to the 21st century, where we now have technology and AI, and technology and AI themselves initially were seen as tools, but now they have stopped becoming tools. They have started becoming environments. They have started becoming entire ecosystems. And that is what evolution is about. And the human reality now, for once in our lives, we are not contending against other species, but now we are contending against ideas. We're contending against our own inventions. Yeah. So evolution is not always positive. It only cares about what works now. It is opportunistic, it is messy, and sometimes it can be inefficient. But as long as it works, I mean, look at the peacock. The male peacock has this, beautiful feathers around it and all. It has a very long tail. Now, that actually makes it attractive to predators, but it also makes it attractive to its mate. Without those peacocky feathers, it cannot attract its mate. Yeah, so it may be inefficient when it comes to, flying and hiding from predators, but what evolution cares about is, does it help it reproduce and move its genes on to the next? That's what evolution cares about. Yeah, so sometimes it can be brutal, and that is what we are facing in the career space today. We are facing the brutality of evolution. It can be brutal, it can be beautiful. And why we're here today, learning about 2026 and beyond, how to stay relevant in today's world of work or in the new world of work as we have come to know it. That is why we're here today. And I'm going to do my best to see how I can carry us through and ensure that everyone learns something. At the end of this, there will be time for questions and answers. So start putting together your questions, and at the end, we'll be taking questions. So let's go right into it. So 2026 and beyond, how to stay relevant in the new world of work as evolution is happening. How do we evolve with the rapidly changing times? And yes, you must have heard this statement a number of times, learn AI or be left behind. Yes, it is very true, but we are going to go beyond this. We're going to go beyond this simple statement. And instead, we are going to be taking a human-centered, future-facing approach about how people can adapt their thinking, build timeless skills, and align with the new order of work, where value creation is greater than your job titles. You are a product manager, oh, wonderful. You are a business analyst, wonderful. You are a data analyst, wonderful. You're a front-end developer, wonderful. Back-end developer, wonderful. But if you cannot create value, you would realize that the job title is just a premise. The job title is just your introduction. What people want to see, what they want to hear, what they want to know is, can this person deliver? Can this person create value? Can this person add value to what we are bringing to the table? Yeah. So the rules have changed. The job market is now an ecosystem of problems that is looking for people who can solve these problems creatively using any tool, not just about their degrees or roles. I mean, there was a time that when you were on campus, what you cared most about was getting a good grade. Just get a good grade. And just like our parents told us then, when you get a good grade, by the time you graduate, you finish with a strong 2-1 or a first class, or better still, you finish as the best graduating student in your department. Oh, wonderful. Companies are literally going to come and headhunt you during your graduation, which was true. Yeah, which was true. Actually, I don't know if that still happens now. Yeah, well, which was true. But now, our reality is that even while you're in your second year, you can be earning as little as 2 million naira per month while you're in your year 2. I mean, now it is, then you are advised not to drop out. I'm not glorifying dropping out. No. The certificate is very important. The degree is very important. I stand for that. Yeah. But we're not going to hide our face from what our reality is now. Yeah. And some people, by the time they get to year 3, they're working for top organizations already, and they're like, school is distracting. I need to, continue with my career. And so they drop out and they face their career. And before you know it, in the next 1 year, they have set up, their own startup, and they're doing well. That is our current reality. That is what the evolving times has brought our way. Yeah. So knowing how to pivot, how to adapt, how to remain relevant is very important in this new world of work. Yeah. So we're going to go over to the first part, which I call the hook. And here we're going to talk about the depth of predictability. Every skill has an expiry date. Reinvention is the only lifelong career. Yeah, what you should have at the back of your mind, even as you progress on your career journey, is you have to constantly reinvent yourself. So there was a time when life came with a manual, just like I earlier said. And the manual was you go to school, you get good grades, you find a job, you stay loyal, you retire happy. And it works. But that manual expired quietly somewhere between 2020 and 2025. So life used to be very predictable then. I mean, life used to be very predictable. I need to do this, do this, do this. If I do it well, yeah, there's a very high possibility that I would emerge with this. It was very predictable. You know, the world of work itself used to be very predictable. Our parents could name the 5 biggest companies in the country then, and for 20 years consecutively, they'll be right. But today, 5 years is long enough for an entire industry to rise, collapse, and be replaced by a teenager with a laptop in Nairobi in a one-room apartment. Yeah. So initially, our degrees used to be a golden ticket, but right now it's just the trailer. Your skills are the actual movie. Yeah. So yes, your degrees your degrees are still going to be important. Yeah. Regardless of how the times evolve, those degrees are still going to be important. We cannot leave that aspect of knowledge behind and say no, because we're trying to evolve with the times. So we have to break things a certain way. No, there are certain ways to break things. There are certain ways to not break things. Yeah. So your degree used to be a golden ticket, but now it's just a trailer. Your skills and how you deploy your skills per time are the actual movie. So reality check. 40% of the jobs that people are doing today didn't exist a decade ago. We have jobs like prompt engineers, they didn't exist a decade ago. We have jobs like DevOps, TikTok strategies, remote work manager, cyber threat hunters. Most of the jobs we see today, or many, not most, by statistics, many of the jobs we see today have been introduced due to evolution. Yeah. And 65% of the jobs that Gen Zs and Gen Alphas will do haven't even been invented yet. So we have business logic and we have machine reasoning here. At some point, so we are going to need people like AI workflow interpreters who will optimize where AI should automate, where AI should assist. Automation and assisting are two different things. And when AI is supposed to stay out completely from a particular user flow. So a business has a system and they're like, okay, this aspect AI has to automate it. This aspect AI is going to assist, AI is going to collaborate. And this aspect, we don't even want AI involved in this at all. So we're going to be having job roles like AI workflow interpreters that can help design systems like that. And now with deepfakes, I mean, we've had people like Fela Durotoye have deepfakes of himself, Vusi Tembekwayo, Pastor Poju Oyemade. We've had prominent people have, deepfakes of themselves by random people on the internet. And when you look at these deepfakes, if you don't know how to differentiate between what is real and what is fake, you will think it's actually these people that are talking to you. That is the world we live in right now. And soon we are going to be having people like synthetic media ethicists that would have to tell us what is real enough. They are going to be like the police people that would design the ethical boundaries of what is real enough, and help businesses rather and personal brands to be able to differentiate, between what is real and what isn't real. And with the breaches in data protection laws that we're having now, personal data protection laws. We are going to be having people that would act as data trust brokers, individuals who will start taking, who will help other individuals that want to start taking candid measures towards protecting their personal data. Yeah, so some of these things are going to emerge. They're going to be actual job roles, because when an invention happens, more problems are created. For example, we look at the light bulb. Yeah, the light bulb was invented. We had the filament bulb, and before and after it was invented, we needed to have it in 20 watts, 40 watts, 60 watts, 80 watts, 100 watts. Some of them were small, some of them were big. Now, these were meant to meet different human requirements. Yeah. And people started selling light bulbs. Yeah, because people needed light bulbs in their homes. So there was a problem. I want a light bulb, but it's too far away for me to get it. Businesses emerged where people started selling light bulbs. Then all of a sudden, we realized that these bulbs consume too much energy. That's a problem. We had to come up with mercury bulbs. Yeah, we had to come up with fancy bulbs. So every invention will bring with it a new level of problems. Yeah. So when companies hire now, they're hiring for adaptability, not loyalty. That is not to say that loyalty is dead. No, loyalty is not dead, but it is no longer the only currency that will keep you relevant. So there was a time when people prided in their work. They took pride in their work after they've been in a certain company for 10 years, for 15 years. They can say that I've been in this company for 15 years and people would applaud them. It's not a bad thing. But now companies are not looking for people that are only loyal. They are also looking for people that can adapt. And as the times evolve, they can adapt and deliver in the evolving times. Yeah. And AI is not just a buzzword, it is your new colleague. It is your new colleague. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't take coffee breaks, it learns faster than you do. If you know the working principle of LLMs, how large language models work, you will know that the amount of data they consume per millisecond, it is not humanly possible. So we have a system, we have an ecosystem, an entire ecosystem that businesses are being founded on, and the working principle of this ecosystem learns faster than humans do. How do you compete with something like that? No, you don't compete with it, you collaborate with it. That's how it works. So the real question is not, will AI take your job? No, the real question is, will you evolve fast enough to be able to work with AI? That is what the real question is. So your mindset must be one of the ability to adapt. That is what will help you to stay relevant. Say in the year 2015, you have a young developer here who was focused on learning PHP. PHP is an open source scripting language software for web development. Yes. And in 2020, PHP jobs started drying up. But that person who had learned that language, sorry, not a software language, who has learned that language, yeah, that same person pivoted into learning Python or pivoted into data analysis. That same person could also have pivoted into product management. The person had to evolve with the times, had to learn new skills, had to learn how to use new tools. Yeah. The tools will change, but the mindsets, which is the ability to adapt, that is what stays relevant. 10 years ago, being a designer meant that you had to master Photoshop. I used Photoshop a lot, so I understand what the rave about Photoshop was then. Here. But now the best designers are not just relying on Photoshop. The best designers are using Figma, they're using AI tools, they're using zero code platforms. They are using Canva. Even Canva itself that started as a design tool is now a coding platform where people are literally building applications with no code. People that don't have coding skills are able to build apps simply because that is what evolution really cares about. What does the next generation need to survive? Yeah. So So, like I said initially, knowledge is power, and we all know that. But the application of knowledge, how you take that knowledge and apply it, is what is going to raise you to the next level of power. There are some people that we say are not highly intellectual. We call them illiterate. When you have knowledge, when you are well read, it puts you on a certain pedestal, and they say this person is knowledgeable. Yeah. By the time you learn how to apply that knowledge, it raises you to another level. It puts you on another pedestal. It gives you more power. So the application of that knowledge is another level of power. And we're entering an age where relevance itself has an expiry date. And the people who will thrive are not those who will panic. Oh, yes, a lot is happening. We wake up every morning to a new change. Every year we enter is actually a new year now because of AI. But it's not a call for panic. Yeah. People who will thrive are those who will learn to adapt faster than the world can change them. Yeah. So let's go into what is really changing. Let's talk about what is really changing. And what is changing is not just the tools, it's not just the tech. Like I have earlier summarized, it is the rate, it is the tempo at which this change is happening. Yes, we know that the tools are changing. We know that the tech is changing, but we need to also be aware of the tempo of this change. The job market doesn't change slowly anymore. It mutates overnight. There's something I learned from the person I worked with 4 years ago. Yeah. And he told me something. He said, Daniel, the market doesn't sleep. The market does not sleep. While you're sleeping, the market is awake. By the time you wake up in the morning, the market has moved. And this was as far back as 2020, yes, 2020. But that is a reality. And that change, that mutation is happening overnight. And that is what we need to be aware of. Because everyone keeps saying technology is changing everything. Now, that is true. Yeah. But what is really true is the speed at which we must respond. That is what is changing. We cannot, think that, oh, there's time. Of course, there's time, but how you utilize that time, currently it demands speed. Your level of response must be speedy here. And there's a difference between responding and reacting. They are not the same thing. That is why an emergency team is called an emergency response team, not an emergency reaction team, because there's a difference between responding and reacting. For people that react, they see that something is working for another person, they jump to it. And while they're there, they see that something's working for another person, and they jump to it, and they're jumping from here to here to here. And after 2 quarters, after 6 months, they realize that they have been making a lot of movement, but there's no progress. That is not how a response team is trained to respond. When you see that there's a new change, when you realize that the rate at which evolution is happening is more rapid, you sit down and you plan, you sit down and you think. a new year is not just new for us to celebrate. No, it's new for us to look back in retrospect on what we have done and ask ourselves, was it really worth it? Ask ourselves, what did we really learn? What mistakes did we make? What have we learned that we need to unlearn? What have we learned that we need to unlearn? And what do we have to learn in this time that we find ourselves? So that is why we have a new year, so that we can look back in retrospect and look forward in anticipation and say, this is what I did, and this is how I'm going to do what's, in this phase that I am, this is what I did, and this is how I'm going to approach the next phase here. So it's not that AI, automation, or remote work appeared overnight. No, it's that the cycles of change have collapsed. What used to evolve in a decade now shifts in months. What used to take 10 years is now happening in 3 months. So the world isn't just moving fast, it is operating on an accelerated tempo. So the tempo has changed, and in the fast world, being static is a new failure. So think about this. ChatGPT launched in late 2022 or thereabouts, and within 6 months, we saw the birth of prompt engineers, AI copywriters, startup founders are building entire apps with no code. Yeah. By the time most universities,
Sir, please, I cannot hear you.
Sorry, someone said you
How
can't
you
hear
doing?
me.
If you
other
can't
people's
hear,
reality?
I can hear him very well. Can any other person confirm that is from your end, Ido? Yeah, we can hear you clearly, Daniel. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Ido, please confirm your check your network. Most likely, maybe your network.
Yeah, we can hear him clearly. I think it's his network.
All right. So I will go on. Thank you. So if you can't hear me, you can try leaving and joining back. Sometimes that works. Yeah, even though we are evolving, our tech still misbehaves, from time to time. So yeah. And please let us mute ourselves so that we don't distract others. Thank you. Okay, so we are seeing ChatGPT birthing prompt engineers. We're seeing tools like Nano Banana challenging photo studios. Entire photo studios are being challenged by one single tool on the internet that's mutated overnight. We are seeing AI cloning challenging influencer marketing, where people do not have to face the camera anymore. They just have to create clones of themselves and in a way, breathe life into those clones. And exact replicas of them are selling products online. Yeah, we are seeing mobile money, which was once an experiment, it is now a revolution. We are seeing TikTok creators reaching more people in one day than entire radio stations achieved in a year. That is the rate at which evolution is happening. That is the rate at which it is happening. Entire creative industries, we are seeing a designer cannot produce in a short time what a 5% team would do in 3 years. Yeah, we are seeing a designer being able to achieve. So the tempo has changed, and in a fast world, being static is the new failure. You cannot afford to say that you're not going to move or think that what you have learned is enough. It is not enough. It is no longer about what you know. Now it's about how quickly you can learn, unlearn, and apply new knowledge, just like I said before. Yeah. So let's go over to the next section, which is the mindset. So we have looked at the hook here, the rate at which this evolution is happening. we have, and then we discussed about sorry, just a second. Let me quickly jump back to this. Yeah. So we have looked at the hook, which is the depth of predictability. We have looked at the shift and how this shift is affecting us, which is not about what is really changing, but about the rate at which this change is happening. And now we are going to the mindset, and we talked about, we earlier on said the mindset is one of adaptability. We have to adapt. Yeah, so let's go deeper into this mindset. And here we're going to talk about how to stay relevant, which in our current reality is the new career operating system. So just like you have your Windows operating system that evolved from, I can't even remember what was before XP. We had XP, we had Vista, then we had 11, and Windows 7, Windows 8. So it kept on evolving, yeah, up to what we have today. So just like we have our tech, we have seen our tech evolve over time. It is also important that we as individuals that are creating and using these tools, we know that we also have to evolve. We have to look into our operating system and, as often as possible, go for an upgrade. Yeah. So if you remember Steve Jobs, yeah, the founder of Apple, or one of the founders of Apple, each time he made the launch during one of his wonderful speeches, I mean, there was the launch of the Apple computer, there was the launch of the iPod, there was the launch of the iPhone. Each time he made a launch, it brought a new wave of excitement. Now, these were physical products. These products had to be shipped to other parts of the world. Time was a factor here. And then when we saw all of these inventions happening, especially with Apple, it was as if the future was unfolding before us. So you mean I can have 1,000 songs on one small portable device, which was the iPod. Then, we had the diskettes and the CDs and the likes. And one CD couldn't even take so much. One diskette, couldn't take so much. But now you had an iPod that could contain all the songs in the world on that small device, and it will not increase the weight. The grammage of the product was still going to be flexible. It's not going to increase the weight. It was mind blowing. Then we had the iPhone, which could help with calls, which embedded the iPod's capacity in it. It was breathtakingly beautiful. Yeah. Now, when ChatGPT dropped, it wasn't just another tech release. It was like a meteor that wiped out the dinosaur of traditional career paths. And within months, we saw roles evolving. We saw roles vanish. We saw roles merging into hybrids. Yeah. And we realized that we had entered a new age. Because truthfully, when ChatGPT dropped, that was just a tip of the iceberg. That was it was like a distraction from what was actually happening in the real world of AI. It was like a distraction because we're also caught up with that front end experience. We didn't know that what was going on in the back end by the people that created that was, far greater than what we were seeing. Yeah. So in this new era, the career advantage isn't knowledge. Yes, knowledge is important, like I've said. Application of that knowledge is even more important, but it is adaptability, how you adapt. So think of it like upgrading your operating system, rebuilding your mental firmware. That is what the new career OS is about. So let's go deeper into this. And see what the new career operating system is actually about. Yeah, we talked about learning, unlearning, and adapting quickly to the ever-evolving times. Yeah, so learning itself has to be fast because the shelf life of skills nowadays is almost zero. You have a skill, you wake up the next morning, you see that that skill is expiring. You need to upgrade it. So there was a time when Excel was the thing, was the in thing, and a new tool came out, which is Power BI. And even after Power BI came out, other tools have come out that can even do better than Power BI. Yeah. And if somebody now decided, oh, I'm going to stay with Excel, you and your skill are going to be outdated. Because by the time you look at job descriptions, you're going to be seeing tools that you'll be asking yourself, when did these tools drop? Was I sleeping? Yeah. And you wouldn't be able to apply for certain job roles, even though it is in your industry. Why? Because that person is still stuck with the old tools. So one of the things that you need to be conscious about is, yes, we know that evolution is happening. We know that it is fast, but you need to key into what is actually evolving. Some of these things, in all honesty, will be a waste of your time. So that is why sitting down and looking at and knowing what you should do part time is very important. Yeah, your old skills are not going to be entirely irrelevant. No, they are the building blocks for what you're going to do next. So it is important that you know what you should know part time, because what is coming, you're going to adapt to it easier and faster and more beautifully because you already have a foundational skill. Yeah. So how fast you can learn and how well you can implement what you have learned is very important. The old OS will say, I have 10 years of experience. Oh, fantastic. But the new operating system will say, I can get world class at something in 3 months. Give me 3 months and I'm going to be, much better at doing this. I don't need 10 years anymore. Now, there isn't much room for the 10,000 hour rule. Yeah. Because as long as you know how to use something, perfecting it is not what you should be bothered about initially, but knowing how to use it is what you should be bothered about initially. That knowledge is important. Now, how you apply that knowledge going on is just like I said, is the next level. Yeah. So knowing what you should know part time is important. And the next one, befriend the machines. So, like I said initially, AI is your new colleague. It doesn't eat, it doesn't sleep, and it learns faster than you do. You're not to be afraid of it. You have to collaborate with it. And you see, even ChatGPT as a tool, a lot of people outsource their thinking to ChatGPT, which is wrong. That is not how to use it. We are not meant to become a vegetable because we now have AI. No. Yeah. You're not meant to outsource your thinking to ChatGPT. In prompt engineering, there's a type of prompt engineering that I can't remember exactly what it's called now, but you ask ChatGPT to prompt you. Yeah. So you tell it, this is what I want to write about. Ask me clarifying questions so that I can give you answers for you to expand. So by the time it's asking you questions, you now have to think. Even while you're thinking, you might still have to go and do some research before you come and give it answers to those questions. Then by the time it now eventually gives you what you want, you find out that it is more robust and in-depth. It is wider, it is broader and deeper. Yeah. So you're meant to collaborate with these tools. You're not meant to outsource your critical thinking to these tools. Yeah. And that is why AI cannot replace human beings. No. It is the people that use AI properly that will be the replacements. Yeah. So knowing how to talk to models, knowing how to prompt properly, knowing how to automate workflows, knowing how to analyze patterns, that is the new literacy. Yeah. So the winners are going to be AI augmented humans, humans that can synthesize, those who know when to delegate to a bot and know when to lead with intuition. So befriend the machines. The old OS will say I can do it all myself, but the new OS will say I orchestrate between humans and machines. I am an AI augmented human. I know when to delegate to these machines. I know when to lead with intuition using my own human abilities. Then the third one, think like a system. I like this one here. And think like a system. So with the introduction of several roles like we're seeing now, there are a lot of glory and roles. So what's the difference between a no-code developer and a vibe coder? What's the difference between a data analyst and a business analyst? What's the difference between a project manager and a product manager? So you understanding the tools, you understanding what the deliveries of each of these roles are, and the systems that these roles function in would erase the block. Yeah, so same thing applies to how you apply, same thing applies to the application of your skill. Yeah. Learn to see the system, not just your task. Don't be a task taker. You show up in the morning and like, okay, what do I have to do? You do it, you close for the day. No. Learn to implement product thinking. In another webinar I had, the topic of that webinar was product thinking for techies. And in that webinar, I talked about how, so it was mainly for developers. And I talked about how most developers just see themselves as coders. They wake up and they code. No, you are beyond just a coder. You should learn to think in systems. You should learn to think like a visionary. Learn to ask the right questions. They give you a task. You sit down and you think, what is expected of me from this task? How clean should my delivery be? This thing they asked me to do, is it even relevant? Question the system. Question the system. Learn to see the system. This thing they asked me to do, is it relevant to what our clients are? Is it relevant to the current pain points of our clients? Or is this something we're going to launch and is going to act like a bounce check? It's just going to go out there and bounce back to us. Nobody's going to adopt this. Is it really relevant to the pain points? Yeah. So learn to ask questions. And even when you're in meetings, don't just be there and be quiet. I understand the aspect of observation. Yeah. I understand the aspect of being slow to speak. I know all of these things, but learn to question systems. That is what product thinking is about. Yeah, so if you can map the flow of data, decisions, and dependencies, that is what makes you indispensable. But if you're somebody that just sits there, they give you a task, you do it, you're done, you submit it, and you go and sleep, and you recycle that every day, every quarter, you're going to be easily dispensable. You're going to be easily dispensable. And what we are trying to achieve is indispensability. Yeah. So the old OS will say, I know my job, I do it well. The new OS will say, I understand how my job drives the ecosystem. So just a digression. There is a story on the internet. It's not verified, but it's there on the internet when I think it was NASA was going to send them. I can't remember what year exactly. The president came into the where you have the launch pad, the entire setup and all. And he saw a janitor with a mop. And he asked the janitor, "What is your work here?" And the janitor said, "My work is I am a part of the team that is putting this man on the moon." Now, the janitor's core job was to get the floors cleaned. But why is he getting the floors cleaned? He's ensuring that the environment is clean. It's not a breeding ground for bacteria and organisms and stuff that can cause infections. Because you don't want an infection in the person you're going to send to the moon. You don't want him to call in sick on the day that the launch is happening. And then there's a delay and resources are being wasted. Yeah. You don't want the floor to be dirty, or something to slip the guy when he's walking down to the launch pad and he falls, he breaks his leg, and they have to call off the launch. So his job, he understood his job, that it wasn't just to clean, but he had to ensure that how he does his job, he's thinking about the entire system. He's thinking about, he's seeing himself as a part of the team that is putting the man on the moon. So that is how you view systems. You don't just show up at work and you're like, okay, I'm going to do my task and be done with it. That's not how it works. It's way beyond that. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. So this is thinking like a system, understanding how your job drives ecosystems. Then build in public. Build in public. So visibility is currency. The days of quiet excellence is gone. You need to learn how to document your process, share your learnings, build your digital footprints so that people can discover you.
I thought you
People
came back
would
with a time.
only discover you if you're visible. If you're invisible, people will not discover you. So pay attention to documentation. Documentation is very important. Document your wins, document your process, document your progress. Because sometimes, someday in the future, you would need to refer back to what you have done and use it. Yeah, and also as much as you can, be as visible as possible. So it's not just about my work speaks for itself. No, let my work be seen, be shaped, and be shared. The fifth one, stack your value. Stack your value. Stop thinking in single carriers. That mindset is outdated. The people that are thriving in 2026 and beyond 2026, like we're discussing here, they are not defined by titles. They're not defined just by their job roles. They are defined by their stacks, their knowledge base, and how they apply that knowledge base. You're not just a coder, you're a coder that understands design. You're not just a marketer, you're a marketer that thinks like a data analyst. You're not just a designer, you're a designer that understands human psychology. It's not just to open the Figma canvas and drop screens there. No, understand user flows, understand how users respond to every flow in the user journey when they are using your product, or rather when they're using the product that you're building. Yeah. So that intersection where your skills collide, that is your new moat. That is your new moat. It's what makes you uncopyable. Yeah. Because here's the truth. Single skill professionals are easier to replace. And that is why you are an alumni of Wave. You were or you are in Wave to acquire skills. Yeah. And Wave has a broad syllabus that allows you to say, okay, I have acquired this, I know it, let me go on to the next thing. Yeah. So single skill professionals are easier to replace. Don't just learn a skill and say you're going to stick with that. That mindset is outdated. Yeah. But be the kind of person that can connect the dots across disciplines. Those are the ones that are truly driving innovation. Yeah. Like we said, AI augmented humans, the future belongs to hybrids. Those who can blend product thinking with storytelling. Those who can blend data analysis with strategy. So build a stack that no one else has, and your relevance will outlive any job title. So it's not just about being a marketer and a marketer who understands behavior design and AI automation. Build your stack. The future belongs to the integrators. It's not the smartest or the most technical who will dominate. It's the ones who can synthesize. That synthesis is about the people who can connect ideas from different fields. Yeah. Build your stack. The people who can blend insights, the people who can create something new from that mix, not just about repeating what already exists, which is, a part of what is happening in the fintech space now. Yes, I agree. Africa needs fintech companies. Yeah, but a number of people are doing the same thing. A number of people are doing the same thing. So it's not just about repeating what exists. Now, this is not just about an entire industry or an entire company. It's also about you as a human, you as a system. It's not just about repeating what exists. It's about creating something new from the mix. Yeah. Those who connect the dots that others don't see, those are the integrators. Those who think in systems, those who act in sprints, and those who evolve like software. So let's go to the proof. And here we are briefly, I'm going to move quickly. We are briefly going to look at some African stories of reinvention. Okay. So over to the first one. We have Paystack here, which was bought over by Stripe. And when the founders started Paystack, they were not just solving for online payments. These guys were redefining trust in African commerce. So instead of copying Stripe's model blindly, because I listened to their pitch and Stripe was their model, but instead of copying that model blindly, they understood local pain points. They understood the frustration of the merchants. Yeah. The people that were eventually going to use their tool. They understood the frustration of these merchants, which was unreliable banks, complex APIs, limited digital adoption. I mean, the banks then were focused more on their physical branches. Let customers come. Seeing customers in the banking room was pride for the banks. But now, the fewer customers you have there, the better it is for you as a bank, because it means you are evolving as a bank. So yeah, so the fewer people you have visiting the banks, the better it is for you. So then banks took pride in having crowd in their banking room. Yeah, but now it is not the case. So PayPal didn't just build a payments tool, they built a growth engine for thousands of African SMEs. Paystack, they built a growth engine for thousands of African SMEs. That is reinvention. Thinking beyond just the code, thinking into the ecosystem. So the most relevant people in the next decade will be those who understand the context as deeply as they understand the tech. Those who understand the context as deeply as they understand the tech. Who are we solving for? What are their pain points? I'll digress a bit. Jeff Bezos, there's something that he started in his meetings, which other companies have now copied. They call it the empty chair model. In his meetings with his shareholders, there's always an empty chair in that meeting. And that chair signifies the user. While they're making their decisions and asking themselves questions and concluding, they are doing this with the mind that the user is in the room. So most times, before they even come to a conclusion, they will tell themselves, let us ask the user what he or she thinks about this thing we're about to implement. Let's ask the user. So having that empty chair in the room makes everyone conscious of the fact that they're not building the product for themselves. They are building the product for users. So they shouldn't just focus on adding features, adding features, adding features. No, they need to be focused on mission critical features. What exactly does the user want? And this became such a powerful model because it ensured that they don't build blindly. It ensured they don't build blindly. So understanding the context as deeply as you understand the tech, that is what is going to be relevant. That is what we are already seeing as relevant and is going to continue to be relevant. Also, we have Aboyeji, who went from training African developers for global work to building Rails for African commerce with Flutterwave. So this is from Andela to Flutterwave. When he was in Andela, the pain point of companies that wanted to actually hire Africans was that they didn't trust that these Africans would deliver. So Andela came up and built that trust. After that had been done, he moved what he had learned, he moved it to Flutterwave and decided to now build a rail for African commerce. So he didn't just switch careers, he expanded his scope of impact. Yeah, he reinvented himself to match the moment. Yeah. And the lesson here is that relevance is not about one skill, it's about knowing when to pivot your energy to where your skills matter the most. Just like I said when I was talking about the new year, the year is new for a reason. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, you need to be truthful to yourself. We Africans, we lie to ourselves a lot. We lie to ourselves a lot. We need to be truthful to ourselves and tell ourselves, no, it's time to pivot. It's time to change, you know. So let's look at the next example. Nelly Chiboy. Nelly founded TechLeaks Africa after realizing that teaching kids to code wasn't enough. If they didn't even have computers, so you train kids to code and they don't have computers. There's no ecosystem for them to show up in and build. Yeah. So what Nelly did was Nelly started recycling e-waste to create computer labs. Now this happened in Kenya. Nelly had to recycle e-waste to create computer labs, create an ecosystem, and where these kids can come and continue. They can learn, they can continue, and they can thrive. So, and that is a massive mindset shift from thinking like a software engineer to building digital inclusion. The future belongs to those who don't just write code, they write systems of opportunity. So learn to see the system. Ask yourself questions that can expand your mind and broaden your scope of what the system is about or what the system should be about. Yeah. Also for the person that built Zuri Health, this doctor built Zuri Health to bridge the gap between doctors and patients using SMS and telemedicine. No fancy AI. Yeah. No Silicon Valley gimmicks and all that, just contextual innovation. These people that are here, what works for them? It's not just about, okay, yes, this is the age of AI. As we're building Zuri Health, let's bring in AI. No, what works for these people? We will get to that. We will get to AI. We will get to, the mobile apps and all that. But what works for them? And so they have to build a system where SMS can function as a chat messaging system for the people that they were trying to reach. Yeah. So what they had was a basic mobile phone, but this person used technology that worked with people, that had that, because that is what was available then, not, the smartphones and all that, just a basic mobile phone. So let's build the tech. Let's not try to change, their culture. It will be too expensive to change that. Let's build the technology around what they have, then we can go from there. Pay attention to what the system requires. Yeah. So this kind of thinking is what keeps you relevant. You are not just chasing the next, okay, let me learn this and learn that. No, you are solving the next real problem. You're being intentional with your processes, you're being intentional with your progress. Relevance is about empathy. Relevance is about empathy. You cannot build without empathy. The best innovators are those who build for how people live, not how they wish they live. So the merchants are facing some frustration, and Paystack Paystack decided to build what can tackle that frustration. Yeah, same thing for Jerry Health. There was a frustration, there was a problem. These people were not being able to get across to the doctors. What do they have in their hands? What can we build for those things? Yeah, so this is how you become a product thinker. This is how you become a system person. Yeah, because relevance is not just about the trophy that you win. It's not a trophy that you win once, rather, it's a subscription that you keep renewing. At every stage in your career, build for relevance. Build for relevance. Every skill you acquire it for relevance. Yeah. That's one thing that never goes out of fashion. The ability to stay curious and adapt with the ever-changing times. So we'll come to the last part, which is the core. So the currency of relevance. So I have spoken a lot about relevance and how it is important for you to remain relevant, and not just about the importance, but how you can actually remain relevant by being an AI augmented human, by being someone that can synthesize, being someone who understands what is needed in that moment, and you have the courage to pivot and learn what needs to be learned in that moment. As you do all of these things, you are spending the currency of relevance, because you will remain relevant, you remain uncopyable, you will remain indispensable here, because you are not just another gimmick, you're not just another person who just wakes up in the morning and decides that, no, well, I'm just going to do my task. No, you're somebody who is aligned with system thinking. So, like I said, relevance is not just a trophy that you win once, it's a subscription that you have to keep renewing. The skills that got you your first tech job won't guarantee your next one. Not every time. Not every time. So you will have to keep evolving as the times evolve, so that you can remain relevant, so that you can actually get into the job roles or the companies or the industries that you want to get into. Yeah. So the frameworks, the languages, even the titles, like we saw earlier on, when we said 60% of the jobs that Gen Zs and Gen Alphas will do have not yet been created. We are going to see those things. We are definitely going to see them, because between 2020 and now, which is 5 years, we have seen a massive shift in job roles. We've seen the introduction of new job roles. We've seen the collapse of some job roles. Yeah, so we are going to see, and that's why we talked about the tempo, how this tech mutates overnight. It means what happened in the past 5 years. Yeah, what we saw happen in the past 5 years, we can see double of that happening in the next 5 years. Yeah. So one thing never goes out of fashion, the ability to stay curious and adapt. So as we move into 2026 and beyond, remember this: you are not your job title, you are your curiosity, your adaptability, and your ability to connect the dots that others do not see. That is the real currency of relevance. Thank you for listening. So I'll be handing over to Mr. Kingsley now.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Let's see more reactions from people. Thank you, Temitope. Thank you for everyone who has reacted. This was quite an insightful session. I know that time is fast spent, so we can just go straight to questions. I'm just going to start with what I've learned. I think that's a better format to go about this. So everyone, when you come up to ask your questions, please try to make it brief, but also talk about some of the few things that you've learned, right? Some of the things that I learned was, one is you said learning has to be fast, right? The world is evolving, is moving really fast, and it is just important for everyone to learn fast, learn really fast, stay up with trends of what's happening in your space, in the tech space, in the AI space, so that you are not left behind. And I think that is one of the most important thing I took out of this session. Another one again is document your win and be visible. So, talk about your wins, document them, document also your losses so you know how to improve on it. Stop thinking in single careers. I think my question is also tilted towards that, but also how do you learn to acquire more skills, right? With tech now, it has made it very easy for you to record more skills, record more, sorry, I said record, is this an opportunity for us to be able to acquire more skills? You know, if you're a writer, now you cannot just be a writer. With AI, you can add one or two things, and with the way AI is going currently, where you can now do graphics and other things that you can add and then become a better version of yourself, right? Single skills professional are easier to replace. So I think that that's also tied to number 3. You're not just thinking one way. I said it that one of the people that what's it called? AI has really taken its place is mostly people that write, amongst other careers too, but people that write, right? Because now if you're good with prompting and all of those things, you can come up with a very good piece, right? Yes, there's the human touch part of it, but then you can do a lot. That means you can do like 3 or 4 writers' job in a space of a certain hours, because now with AI, you are now better at what you do. And the last one is the future belongs to the hybrids, or belongs to hybrids. So people who can pivot, people who can use AI, and become a better version, right? Their career, professional, and all of those things. So thank you so much, Daniel. My question is around, and funny enough, this was a conversation that I had with someone, I think was last week, where the person is my tailor, right? And asked the question, was like, how would he be able to integrate AI? He wants to pivot and also use AI to scale his business, right? And when you were speaking, it just touched on me to different people who are currently doing things that we don't know what the future will. It can make them become obsolete, or for them to move to the next stage, they want to incorporate AI, but they don't know how to, right? So what practical steps I know you touched on it already, but just to iterate, what practical steps can you give to these people? Another example that is coming to my head now would be someone who owns a restaurant, someone who owns a poultry, right? Someone who is into agriculture. These jobs that makes it look like, they've gotten to a certain point and then they just have to, keep doing what they are doing instead of trying to incorporate different things into what they are doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be AI, it can be tech, can be anything. But how can they move from that point where they are to the next point? And now with the introduction of AI, what do you think is the next step for such people? That's my question. And then I'll open the floor to others.
All right. Thank you very much. So, for people who are in certain spaces that they're asking themselves this question, how can they, use AI to level up what they're already doing? Good enough, they know they have a good foundational knowledge of what they're already doing. Yeah. And say for the fashion designer now. I have a friend who does fashion illustrations and all that. Yeah. For a fashion designer, you can now we have AI tools here. One thing that fashion designers struggled with a lot was modeling their work. Yeah, you have to look for a beautiful location, hire a photographer, go there and take pictures, and you know, wait for the pictures to be edited and all that before people can see how the outfit looks like on somebody of a particular size. Now, if you are targeting the um the women, you know that there are different body types. And so this is also going to be a cost implication. So what that person can do is right from the planning stage here, when you plan what should work here, what designs are important here, or what designs do people want now? Yeah, you can do a research because the thing about fashion is that fashion has been recycled over a long time. Yeah, fashion has been recycled. So what used to trend went out of trend and is now trending again. It will still go out of trend and to trend again. So AI here can help the person summarize how these trend cycles have been like. So the person can even have a good idea of what is coming next, not just about where they are. Yeah, they would also have a good idea on how to implement what is currently trending. How best should they approach it? So AI can compress all this history into very explainable terms that the person can really understand. I'm like, oh, I get it. This is what I need to do. Also, for the fashion illustrations, these things can be fed into an AI tool and given life. So your fashion illustration doesn't have to be still anymore. It can still be an illustration that now has life. Because I mean, you can use Google View 3 to give you your fashion illustration life. And that will stand you out. Yeah, because
Your
maybe
camera doesn't.
very few people are doing that. So it is about your process. That's why I said look at the entire system. Cut the system into bits, cut the process into bits, and take each section as a whole and tell yourself, how can I make the best use of this section? Over to how they draft their patterns and all that. These things can easily be fed into ChatGPT and to give them the right proportions and all that. So it makes their setup stage, yeah, more seamless and faster. Then modeling here. We have a number of tools now that you can just take pictures of your clothes, even flatly images. You can literally put your clothes on the bed, take a picture of it, and find a model online that would walk in those clothes. Yeah. And people will see how the clothes move on a person and all that. Whereas you took a picture of that outfit on your bed in your room. You can use AI to resize it, for different body types and all that. So what the person has to do is the person has to understand, the person has to know what has been achieved with AI in the fashion space. ChatGPT is just one of those things, one of those tools. What has been achieved with AI in the fashion space? Because there are a number of tools that are out there that a fashion designer can use. Yeah, the person can even go on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT these questions. What tools have emerged in the fashion space for fashion designers? I want to be able to give my outfit life. I don't have the resources to do a photo shoot. What tool can I use to, do a photo shoot? You can literally get an image, put it into View 3, and somebody would see videos of a model wearing your clothes on the runway, but you were never on the runway. Models wearing your clothes on at an engagement, but you were never there. That outfit was never there, but you created it. Now your delivery is now going to be unique. It's not going to be the usual product launches where you will put your clothes on a mannequin and take a picture and put it online. That era has gone. People don't do that anymore. That era has gone. Yeah, you can even give your mannequins life with VO3, and people would see your mannequins, So what the person has to understand is what tools exist and how can I use these tools for my fashion business? Yeah, and it goes all the way down to the financial aspect also. Yeah, so the entire journey of that fashion designer from conceiving, from doing research down to deciding on what outfits to launch, down to doing the illustrations, down to drafting the patterns, down to knowing the kind of fabrics to use, down to um, doing the photo shoots, down to having models, even down to sales, the entire journey. There are various tools that this person can use for every aspect of this journey and get the best results. Yeah. Then for the restaurant person, content thrives on visuals. Yeah. Um, it- Previously, what was done is you have a menu, and this menu so it boils down to what I said about the person in the fashion industry. Know
Yeah.
what these tools are. Yeah, because
Mhm.
if you don't now, that's why I said knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. You have to take the time out to actually learn these tools, to know what these tools are and learn them. Even if you don't want to learn them, there are people that you can outsource all of
Yeah.
these things to. That is the birth of these new roles. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there are people you can outsource all of these things to. So you can do your research and ask an AI tool and LLM, this is the problem I'm having in this aspect. Okay, customers are not coming or customers are complaining about my menu. How can I make my menu more interesting? You feed your menu into the LLM and it can redesign your menu for you. It can tell you, okay,
Mhm.
this menu is outdated. Let's have it, in a more um, um, appealing way. Yeah. Then after that, maybe get a designer to, give you the final design and all that. So a restaurant owner also has to look at their different processes. Don't take the entire restaurant as a whole. Start
Mhm.
from the cooking, how the food is presented, how the food should be presented, when the customer also walks in, because when the customer walks into a restaurant, the customer's journey did not start from the restaurant. It started online, wherever they saw you. So right
Mhm.
from that point where the customer saw your restaurant, the customer's journey has started down to when you hand over the receipts of the customer's payments to them. And even after that, when the customer will give a review, that's the entire customer journey. Yeah. So the person has to take this customer journey and break it into bits and say, how can I make each part of this journey an experience for this customer? Now, before we needed consultants to help us with this, but you can collaborate with an LLM now, like maybe Gemini or ChatGPT, and it would take those aspects of the journey, break it down into bits, and tell you how to create experiences from for each of those aspects. So by the time you're done and you look at the customer journey, you will see the clear distinction between what it was before and what it now is. Now it's
Mhm.
about implementing it. Yeah. So knowing what these tools are, knowing how to think like a system, how to take an entire system and cut it into bits, yeah, and
System
apply
thinking.
critical thinking to it and product thinking to it would help these people, have
Yeah.
better deliveries. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for this. I think that you spelled it out correctly. And I mean answered the question. Yes, so I'll just go ahead to read some of the things that I have on the chat here. It says, Joyce says, thank you so much, Daniel, for this highly expository and articulately delivered session. Victor said, I learned that AI is gradually taking over. I will be the happiest person, be partaker in it. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. I learned a lot, really. The fact that AI is gradually taking over every space. I agree with you also, Ijele and Victor, because I mean, with everything, like Daniel just answered on the question where he said, you can just put in whatever questions, questions you have on this AI, and then get practical steps on how to go about it, right? And then it gives you ideas on what to do and how to go about it, and step-by-step processes on how you can achieve it. Rachel said, how can I position myself to learning and embracing AI as a beginner and also stay relevant in the workspace? I think Daniel already touched on it, but Daniel, for like 2 minutes, you can just quickly touch on that. Another question here is, okay, Abdul Latif says, I learned AI is here to stay, but you are the one that will not allow it to sway you, right? So it's saying that AI is here to stay, but you can still be firm and know that, AI cannot take all the jobs. There are still some that AI would not be able to take. I usually say this thing to people, right? Every time I say, AI cannot take most jobs, but the problem is it will take entry level. So if you're not using that AI to be better, it's going to take the entry level jobs, right? I'll give you a typical example. There are now machines that do, and this is not AI, this is just normal. There are machines that do cleaning, right? You just put it on the floor and then it does the cleaning for you. But there are some places that machine might not be able to reach. There are places where that these things is what you have to do by yourself, right? Or you have to get someone to do it. Now, it will be more beautiful for you to have someone who can operate that machine, right? So if I have somebody who is a very good cleaner, like Daniel said, has 10 years experience cleaning, and I have another person who has 1 year experience cleaning, but know how to use those tools, I will most likely want to hire the person that has 1 year and the person that has 10 years, because now the person can do that job, right, in even a shorter period of time. I don't know if that answers that question, but Daniel, also you can touch on that. So one is, how can I embrace myself to learning AI as a beginner and also staying relevant in the workplace? Ijele also said, how can I change my career from being an online food vendor but using AI to embrace a new skill and stay relevant in the place of work? I think that Daniel has answered that question. I think I asked a similar question. Idris said, I also learned that for you to be relevant in the industry, you must be a faster learner and also be friends with the system. Know your tools. I agree with you, Idris, on that. My question is, how can organizations support continuous learning and skills development to ensure their workforce stay relevant? Number 2 is, what industry and roles are expected to grow, and how should individuals position themselves to take advantage of these opportunities? I'm sure, Daniel, you can see this question in the chat so that you can just take them one after the other, because I'm getting like a whole lot. So you can just sum like 2 or 3 questions together and answer it at once, because we have less than 10 minutes to finish this. Thank you for the webinar. I think somebody reacted to Daniel's question, so I think maybe the person is just retweeting. Sorry, Daniel, I still have more.
Yes.
I'm so delighted to be in this webinar today. It is an opportunity. Mr. Daniel said something during his introduction that he had problem with clarity. I'm not sure I understand this, Oluwatomi. So you can come off mute after. I think I have 2 people. You can raise your hand and give clarity on that. I think I struggle to understand that. Victor says, how can I use it effectively as a graphics designer and in everything I do in a pro way, right? What relevant job title can we start to learn in order to stay relevant? Can you suggest some for us who are already into tech? In the case of cybersecurity, how can AI help me in this regards because I am new to it. I won't lie. Olariwaju, thank you for the vulnerability and then just being honest. So I'm just going to give the floor to, so why, Daniel, you put like all the questions in like maybe 2 or 3 boxes so that you can answer everything at once. I would also give the space to Temitope and Joy. Joy would go first and then Temitope would ask the question and then you can answer all the questions, you know, so that we don't stay more than expected. Temitope also said something now saying, thank you so much for this webinar. It's been a delightful experience and eye-opening. Thank you so much, Temitope, for your kind words. So over to you now, Daniel.
All right.
Hi, Daniel. Sorry, I think I missed out on something. Joy, then Temitope, then you can group all the questions together and then answer. He also said that one should not stay in one career. So the question is, how can someone that have gotten more than 1 or 2 skills find clarity? That's another question, but I'm sure you're seeing it, Daniel, on the chat. Now, Joy, you can go ahead and then Temitope, and then Daniel, you can box them and then answer.
All right.
Okay, hello.
Yes, I do.
All right, I want to be sure that I'm audible. So,
Yes, you are.
firstly, I would have preferred to start with a, like a prologue of thanks, but I'm sure we've not gotten to that part. So let me reserve it to when we get to that part. But thank you very much. This is a very invaluable class. Like, if we were to pay for it, God knows that most of us may not be here. So thank you for taking your time, and thank you to Wave. Wave has always had a special place in my heart. So I opted to ask my question, verbally instead of putting it down because I don't want anything to be lost in the writing. A lot of things are very particular to me from today's class, but I think that one of the first things you said were very striking, and that is in the area of clarity. So you mentioned that at some points, being multi-talented might even appear as a curse because you don't really know which one to pursue or which one to relegate, which one to make center stage. So that is my question. How do you arrive at when you have skills in areas that do not exactly align? For example, you are a lawyer, but you also have a flair, or you have passion for data analysis, or then you also have a flair for mediation, or you also have a flair for diplomacy or advocacy in that regard. So how do you, because now I am saying this with respect to everything we've learned. You encouraged us to build in public, document your work. So now you're building in public and you're supposed to be known for something. But all these other things cannot go to waste, especially because we're also encouraged to be like skilled professionals. We should not be single skilled. So how do you bring all these things together? How do you make them come together such that it does not portray you in different parts? People can still relate with your journey and your story and what you're trying to build. That is my question. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Joy. That's a very good question. So here's the thing. Whenever you're struggling with clarity, one of the things I recommend that you do is to write often. Yeah. Put your thoughts down, always write. And be prepared to be a lifelong learner. It's not just about acquiring laurels. Yeah. Be a lifelong learner and be good at that particular thing you're doing. Yeah. Don't just jump from one thing to the next. Yes, I know that you want to be this and this and this and this. Well, start with one. Start with one. Start with one with the intention of, so reinventing yourself is not about starting afresh. Yeah. Reinventing yourself is not about starting afresh. It's about layering what you already know. Know something, then you learn something else on top of that. You're not going to forget about that thing that you initially learned. Just like I said initially, it's going to be a building block for your next stage. Yeah. So you have to put in the work of knowing what your career path should look like. Yeah. You want to learn this and this and this, and which is the most relevant now, because that is going to be like your launch pad. That is going to give you the momentum and the motivation that you need to keep going. So look at all of these things and ask yourself, this industry that I am in, is this the industry I really want to be? If you have come to that conclusion, you then ask yourself, this role that I'm playing, is it going to be relevant in the next 5 years? Is it going to be relevant in the next 10 years? Because whether we like it or not, a lot of things are going to happen in 5 years' time, and a lot more are going to happen in 10 years. Yeah, so it's not about 20 years, 30 years. We don't really need to project that far now. I mean, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, people can pivot in their career after 1 year. They've had a fantastic break in 1 year and they decide they want to pivot and move to something else. Also, even if you decide to move to something entirely different, you're like, okay, I've spent some time in this industry, I want to move to something entirely different. What you have learned, the capacity you built in that industry is still going to be a building block for this new industry you're stepping into. Yeah. So if say you are leaving law to go into you are leaving legal to go into maybe project management or product management, what you learned working with people and managing clients while you were practicing your law career is going to help you when you're managing a team of people. So reinvention doesn't mean that you're going to be starting from the scratch. You are only going to be layering on what you have learned previously. Yeah, so don't panic. Don't be overwhelmed by so much. Just start with ensure you are where you want to be and ensure you're doing what is going to be relevant in the future and start building on that. Focus on that. Know it very well before you think of adding anything else. So by the time you're adding something else, you are not the same person you were a year ago. In fact, you most likely won't be the same person you were 6 months ago. Yeah, you're someone who has grown, your capacity has increased. Yeah, then it's going to be even easier for you to merge the new journey into the existing one. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So let's hear from Tim. It's okay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning.
So if I was there, I would like to say thank you for the wonderful webinar today. Like I said earlier, it has been a very wonderful experience. It has been, I learned a lot personally. So basically, I don't have a lot of questions to ask. I just want to reiterate some of the things I have found important to me. And also, there was a question Joy asked about known skills that, like having various skills, like being a lawyer and going to product management and advocacy. So what I think is important is having skills that are compatible with what you are doing currently. Because I remember you mentioned earlier about you said in stacking your value, there's something about a developer that is also a designer or that has knowledge about designing. But I feel it would be an added bonus for him because you're already good as a developer. Let's assume the company you're working for would not go the extra mile looking for someone to design or a UI UX person, since they know you are also proficient in that aspect. So I feel learning skills that are compatible with your current your current is very, very important too. Like the case of, and also skills that are relevant at that moment in time. When we're talking about the experiences in Africa, the one I appreciate the most is that of Zuri Health. At the time, there was no smartphone. So if you are going to create something that has to do with using the internet and Wi-Fi, it will not have that much reach as using SMS. So I feel that point is very, very, very important. So finding skills that are relevant in the time and also will be easier to move or pivot to in the future. It is very important. And also having skills that can be compatible with whatever you're doing. Being a developer that is also good at design, being a data analyst that understands things like you said to a lawyer, using your skills as a lawyer to better understand your clients. If you are doing a project or a product management manager. So it has been a wonderful space for me. It's very, very wonderful. And I hope to implement what I've learn how to learn fast, defend the machine, think like a system, build in public, and also stacking my value. So thank you so much, Mr. Daniel.
All right, thank you, Timothy. So I would just make a slight correction there. So I didn't say a developer who is also a designer. Yeah, I said a developer who understands. Yeah, I said a marketer who understands data analysis. Yeah, so you don't have to learn it. If you're a developer, stay a developer. What you can just do is there are videos on YouTube. You can go on YouTube on a particular day and say, today I want to learn about design. Not that I want to learn design, I want to learn about it. I want to have solid foundational knowledge about design. So you go on YouTube and watch videos of people talking about design. Yeah, there are TED Talks, on designing. There are YouTube on, how a designer should think and all that. So you acquiring that form of knowledge would expand your knowledge about how a designer thinks here. So when you're interacting with designers, you can speak their language because you have a foundational knowledge of how these people think. When you are looking at some Figma files, you understand what the person did there exactly because you understand how a designer thinks. Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to go and learn the tool, but you can have a knowledge about that role. Yeah, so that's just what I was trying to say. All right, thank you. So I will just go as quickly as possible over the questions. One question here says, how can I position myself to learning and embracing AI as a beginner and also staying relevant? So before I answer all these questions, I would refer back to what I said initially. Don't panic. Yeah, don't panic because once you start to panic, you will start learning things that are not relevant. You cannot learn everything. Yeah, you have to understand what will make you relevant. Understand what will make you relevant. Yeah, then go for those things. So how can you position yourself to learning and embracing AI as a beginner and also staying relevant in the workplace? So if you're a beginner, yeah, what do you do? What is your job description? First of all, you have to understand what is somebody, or let me say, a beginner, a medium level person, and an expert. What are the things that they should know at different levels? Yeah, so that will help you know how you should ascend, how you can graduate from being a beginner to mid-level, or from mid-level to expert. Yeah, so just like I answered Joy, have a plan, have a life path. Yeah, you will have to do the research. You have to sit down and do the research yourself and try to map out what your journey is going to look like. You might not get it exactly because things are not predictable again. Like I said initially, things are not predictable again. Yeah, but you taking that step, you being intentional, would always ensure that you know when to pivot, you know when to learn something new. The fact that a new AI tool drops today doesn't mean you'll learn it. But in your field, in your role, know what is new in your role, know what has dropped in your role. So you are um what role do I use? Say you're a product manager here, and initially the only tool that you know how to use for roadmaps and all was Excel. Yeah. Then from your research, because you have to do continuous research. That's why I talked about curiosity. Someone who is curious will continue to learn, will continue to search. Yeah. And you know how to use just this particular tool. Then you find out that, oh no, there's a new tool that helps you manage roadmaps better. There's Asana, you go and learn it. In one day, you can learn how to use Asana. It doesn't mean that you learning a tool is going to take you weeks and months. No. I personally, I took a course in prompt engineering. I sat down one day and took an entire course in prompt engineering. Why? Because I wanted to learn how to use ChatGPT better. I didn't just want to be outsourcing critical thinking to ChatGPT. I wanted to know how to get better prompts. I wanted to know how to collaborate with ChatGPT. So I will not go and apply as a prompt engineer, but I have taken a course in prompt engineering. I know how to prompt properly, and that is it. Yeah. So don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to master everything. Start with what you know. And that thing that you know, ask yourself, what is the next level for this thing I know? Remember, reinvention is not about you starting afresh, it's about building on what you know already. Yeah, so first of all, identify where you are as a beginner. What do you know? And whatever it is that you know, what is the next thing that you should know to add to to lay on top you already know that will take you to the next level. Okay. Um, so how can I change my career from being an online food vendor, but using AI to embrace a new skill and stay relevant in the workplace? So most of these questions that are here, I have already brushed on them. Same thing I would say to you, Matthew. So you want to change your career from being an online food vendor, but using AI to embrace new skills to stay relevant. So if you say a new skill, I assume you're changing from being an online food vendor. So whatever you have learned as an online food vendor, there will be some skills you acquired then that have become a part of you. Wherever it is that you're finding yourself now going into learning a new skill, you would have to implement what you have already learned. Yeah, regardless of whatever it is, it's not going to going to immediately become irrelevant. You're coming from somewhere onto something new. Whatever it is that you learned previously, you can make use of one or two things that's your starting point here. So the most important thing, identify what new skill you want to learn. Leave out AI first. Yeah, identify what new skill you want to learn, know what industry you want to be in, know what role you want to be. Just like I said initially, make sure it's a role that's going to be relevant in the future. Then know what you need to know at that time before you even bring in AI. Yeah, so you're meant to collaborate with AI, not outsource critical thinking to AI. Okay, so whatever it is that you know, you can now go into an LLM or so and say, okay, this is what I know. I'm trying to get to this level. So you have to identify what these points are. You have to know where you are and where you're going. This is what I know. This is where I want to get to. What should my journey be like? Yeah. So you start doing your research, then come up with a plan. All right. I also learned that for you to be relevant in the industry, you must be a faster learner and also be friendly with the system. My question, how can organizations support continuous learning and skill development to ensure their workforce stays relevant? Who asked this question? Okay, Idris, how can organizations support continuous learning and skill development to ensure their workforce is relevant? What industries and roles are expected to grow, and how should individuals position themselves? So for this second question, every industry is going to grow. Every industry is going to evolve. Yeah. It's not about which industries are going to grow. Every one of them is going to evolve. How you should position yourself, I think I've spoken about that already. Know where you are, know where you're going. Make sure that what you have is relevant for the next couple of years. It's relevant for the future. Yeah. And map out what your journey should be like. Yeah. So positioning yourself for opportunities, you have to know where to find these opportunities. Look at what these opportunities are. Look at what the demand of these opportunities are. Then ask yourself, can I meet up with this demand? If I don't have the skills to meet up with this demand, then I have to go back and do some more work on myself, then come back to these opportunities again. Yeah. Then about how organizations can support continuous learning and skill development to ensure their workforce stays relevant. So this is about the organizations. So organizational level, yeah, what organizations can do. Take for example what Wave is doing. Wave is giving you a platform to learn the skills. Organizations also have to be intentional about giving platforms to their workforce to learn the skills, because when you have a work culture or a work environment that is intentional about the growth of its workforce, that entire organization will thrive. There are organizations that pay for courses for their workforce, which is good. Yeah. So if you pay attention to your people, there's a saying that goes that if you give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. So what organizations should do is to pay attention, be intentional about their workforce. Yeah. And the workforce themselves has to be aware of the intentionality of the organizations and utilize that opportunity well. Okay. So on to the next. I said something about in my introduction that I had problems. Okay, this question is not complete, but I think I've also answered this when I was answering Joy. How can I use it effectively as a graphic designer in every? So I guess Victor is talking about AI tools here. As a graphic designer, you can always put your work into an LLM. Now, the thing about these LLMs, they are not perfect. Remember, they are made by human beings. They make mistakes. They hallucinate. They glitch. Yeah. So first of all, what you need to know, even before, don't rely on AI. What you need to know is go and acquire knowledge from other human beings. That's why we have platforms like YouTube, Udemy, Coursera, Wave. That's what go and acquire knowledge from other human beings. Yeah, let human beings teach you. When you have acquired that knowledge, you can now, on your journey and in application of this knowledge, AI can now assist you. So AI is not the first point of call. AI is not perfect. It's still, in development. That's why we have upgrades. If it was perfect, there would be no need to upgrade it. Yeah. So don't rely on AI. Rely on the experiences of other people. Learn from them. Yeah. If you have a senior graphic designer, push your designs to him. If you have him in your circle or her, push your designs to them. Tell them, vet my work. Be open to constructive criticism. Let people vet your work and tell you the truth. And when they tell you the truth, don't let pride or ego make you not to take correction. No, take correction, go back and learn it. Also put yourself to the work. Now, what you can do, you can tell ChatGPT now to give you business models. Yeah, this is a practical way of speeding things up. Give you business models that you can design for. Tell it, come up, give me a model concept. I want to grow my design skill. I want to get better. Give me model concept. Now this is December. Give me model concepts that I can work with. You can maybe have a profile of artists in Nigeria Davido and Burna Boy and the likes, tell it to create these profiles for you and come up with a concept theme so that you can design it and have someone vet your work. You can either tell the LLM to vet your work, but I can tell you that having somebody vetting your work is better. But you can use these LLMs to create jobs for yourself so that you can practice. You can practice then. Now, if you're a graphic designer that is practicing with 10 designs every day, you would definitely be better. You will definitely be better than somebody who is just waiting for jobs to come and then he or she designs. And maybe those jobs are coming like once a week. Just imagine you are doing 40 designs per day. Yeah, you would definitely get better, than, faster even than the person that is just waiting for the jobs to come. So use this. What you can use AI to do is to create opportunities for yourself so that by the time the real opportunity comes, you are doing exceedingly better than somebody else that just, sat with what they know. Okay. Yeah, but don't leave out the aspect of a human. A human being involved in your process is very, very important. What relevant job titles can we start to learn in order to stay relevant? Can I suggest? So about the job titles, yeah. So I have answered this already. For you to be here, you already know something. Yeah, you already know something. What you know, make sure it is going to be relevant in the next couple of years. If it's not going to be relevant, pivot to something else. Yeah, so I cannot give you job titles. There are a number of them out there. Yeah, I am just in tech. I mean, they are even yeah. So the truth is, a lot of things are revolving around tech, even law and consulting. Yes, it's all revolving around tech. Yeah, but what you know, if it is going to be relevant in the next 10 years, start with that. Start with that, then you can layer on top of it. Okay. And if it's not going to be relevant, then look into the job roles that will be relevant that will still be relevant in the future. Okay, beyond 10 years, look into job roles that will still be relevant in the future. Then ask yourself, which one do you have the skill now to start? And if you don't have the skill, go and learn. Yeah, that's why we have platforms like Wave. Go on Wave and say, okay, I want to learn this skill. Does Wave offer it? If they do, start from there. There's no problem with starting afresh. Whenever you feel you have to start afresh with something, start afresh. Whenever you feel that okay, you just have to continue on this path you are and learn more, then continue on that path you are. But whatever it is you're doing part time, make sure that that job role that you are occupying and you are building, yeah, make sure it is going to be relevant in the future. In the case of cybersecurity, how can AI help me in these figures? So I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but you can talk with someone in cybersecurity. But even before asking how AI can help you, listen to people in this space, follow people in this space. Yeah. There's a lady that's coming to mind now. I can't remember her name exactly. Her Instagram handle, I can't remember. She's a cybersecurity expert, but search for people. Don't go searching for AI tools yet. No. Search for people that are where you aspire to be. These people are dropping tips every day. They probably have Instagram content where they are saying a lot of things. They have YouTube videos where they are saying a lot of things. They are constantly giving out information and knowledge. Go and listen to what they're saying. What they say, you will definitely get something new from it that you can implement. And if you feel like you need to ask more questions, send them an email, send them a message. I just need 10 minutes of your time. I have a pressing question to ask you. Most likely they would agree and you can ask a question, they would answer it and you move on. But most importantly, identify who these people are, yeah, vet them. And if you see that they're currently doing what you hope to do, then follow them, right? One should not stay in one career. So the question is, how can someone that has more than one or two skills find clarity? Okay. So I remember talking about skills, layering skills. Yeah. So I have addressed this a bit, while answering all these questions. Just like I answered, I think it was Temitope when I said, as a developer, have an idea, have a good knowledge, a good foundational knowledge of design. Yeah. So that is layering skills. Even as a developer, there are more languages that's are being introduced now that you have to learn so that you stay relevant. There's a time we didn't have React JS and Next.js and like there was a time it was just HTML and CSS and PHP, but now we have more languages now, that can replace that. Okay, so know what is new in your industry and learn it. Yeah, don't try to, go outside of your industry too much. Know what is new in your industry and learn it. If you see a new AI tool, ask yourself, can this AI tool help me? What does this AI tool do? Can it help me? If it can't help you, leave it, move on to the next thing. If it can help you, yeah, because now I don't see why a lawyer would go and learn an AI tool that is meant for fashion designers. No, you don't need it. It's not a part of what you should learn. No matter how exciting or interesting that tool is, you don't need it. Yeah, so it's not everything you are going to learn. That's why you need to be intentional about your journey. Don't panic and react. Remember what I said about responding and reacting. Don't panic and react. Yeah, but respond. Okay. So if you have more than two skills and you want to find clarity, if there's any skill you have that is not relevant to your journey, don't disturb yourself with it. Just put it in the cooler and focus on ensuring that what you have is relevant to your on your journey and it is fine-tuned. You keep fine-tuning it over and over, you keep perfecting it, until the next opportunity comes your way. Okay. My question goes this way. I sell jewelry and wristwatches. I do that online, but it's really how can I improve? You sell jewelry and wristwatches. Okay. Just like I answered Mr. Kingsley, when he spoke about fashion, your customer journey is important. We have gone beyond just, taking pictures of wristwatches and putting, make it exciting. Yeah, if you already have a few, now there's the pre, the during, and the post. Yeah. The pre is when you're trying to get customers. The during is how you present yourself to them. The post is after you've made the sale, what you do. Yeah. So pre, during, and post are very important in customer's journey. How you get your leads and convert them to customers, that process is important. Take that process apart. Ask yourself, how can you do that better? What tools can you use to get that done better? During, your Instagram page is your showroom. Is it beautiful? Is it engaging? Is it exciting? Yeah. Is it innovative? You have AI tools that can, help you with all of these things. Then post. Your customer journey after they bought from you is also important. How do you follow up on them? How is your packaging like? How is your follow-up process like? Yeah. how how do you engage them after they bought from you? Is it just that when they buy from you, that's all, you move on to the next person? You forget that that's one customer that bought from you can bring 10 more people. That person can be a return customer. So many times businesses don't pay attention to people that buy from them. They keep chasing new leads, forgetting that a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. You already have a customer that has bought from you. Ensure that that person's post experience is good. Do you remember them on their birthdays? Do you send them, do you go out of your way to let them know that this brand truly cares about me? This brand truly cares about me. So don't see your brand as a one-off thing. Your brand is a living, breathing thing. Yeah. People will remember you by how you made them feel. Yeah. So take your customer segment, identify the various points in your customer journey, take it apart, and create beautiful experiences for it. I think that AI can be implemented in every industry and that one must learn how to maximize AI for.
Yeah, Daniel, I think that's all the questions. The others are still. Can you hear me, Daniel?
That's all. Yes.
Yeah, that's all the questions. I think others are just saying thank you. Thanks for the explanation, sir. I'll do as you said.
That's fine.
Question well explained. I really got value from the way you simplified the question I asked. Thank you so much. So basically everything was just around appreciation. So I'll just give just one or two persons who would really want to say thank you to Daniel. You raise your hand, signify by raising up your hands. Just one or two persons, 2 minutes max, 1 minute max. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and then we have Joy. And then we would wrap up this session. Hello Kingsley, can you please add me to the Wave Alumni WhatsApp group? I had issues with my other number. Here's my new WhatsApp number. Anthony, please take note of this number and share with the alumni. Anthony, are you here? Anthony, are you here? Hello, Anthony. Okay, let me just take down the number. So Joy, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kingsley. Our dear Mr. Daniel Momo, I don't know if I got the name correctly. Thank you.
Yes, you did.
So much.
You're welcome.
Pouring out yourself into this class. Thank you for not holding back. So it's a delight listening to you. You don't just know what you know, which you obviously know quite well. You know how to communicate what you know, and that is complete bliss. Because you see a lot of persons who are experts in their various fields, and you sign up to listen to them, and you go home more confused, than you came. But that's not the case with you. In just a very short time, there are testimonies abound because you couldn't have just concluded with just me, but I am glad that most other participants have attested to the fact that they got value from sitting under your voice. Thank you for such a value-packed class. I really commend the work that you do. Thank you for not treating it as just another webinar. Thank you for really taking the time to do your research and put together the points that you've raised. And thank you for teaching it in such an easy to understand and assimilate way. You would have just come here to reel out your jargons or just use your terminologies, but you made sure you communicated in a way that every participant could understand you, and that is very commendable. Thank you. Thank you. I pray that you continue to go higher and higher, and that you keep breaking new grounds in your niche. And I would always be glad to listen to you again. Yes, like I said, I could have listened to you all day. You don't just speak, you speak very well. You're very well spoken. And that's commendable as well. Thank you. And thank you to Mr. Kingsley and everyone at Wave. You always keep upping the game every time. You take your time to source the best, speakers for your people. And that shows that you prioritize your alumni. And that's something very commendable. We'll always keep coming back, and be a part of your sessions. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Sorry, I didn't get the name of that person.
Okay, my name is
What's your name, please? Sorry?
My name is Joy, Okora for Joy.
Oh,
And I asked
Joy.
on the chat box, I don't know if it's okay for me to ask. Mr. Kingsley didn't read it out. I asked if it was okay to reach out to you, if you're inclined to have us reach out to you, maybe for further guidance outside this class, and to let us know how we can, reach out to you, how we can contact you.
Okay. So I'm doing this on that way. Yeah. You can speak with Mr. Kingsley. Speak with Mr. Kingsley on that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I think they have like a mentorship program Yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know what their plans are for that. Yeah, but you can also still find me on the internet. I'm available on Instagram and all that.
All
Yeah.
right.
Hi, Daniel. While I read out the rest messages, you can also share your LinkedIn profile, and then they can also reach out to you directly. If you have any questions, I know someone called you before this call. You got an email, someone called you. I did call some people. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to me via WhatsApp. The number that I used to call is my WhatsApp line. You can also send an email. And then you can also reach out to the other person, which was Anthony, that also called you, right? And then you can get more clarity and more assistance as you want. Please, if you're not muted, please mute your mic, please.
Okay, so me now, you.
All right. Lastly, before we go, yeah, so I'll just be reading out. Just give me a moment. So I'll just be reading out the names of the people that should reach out to us for the little gift. I know we talked about, just appreciating people who reached out. So we have Idris. Sorry if I do not pronounce your name well, but I hope that I'll try. So I have Idris Abijo, Esther Doza, Olariwaju Tomat, Afisa Oladijo. I don't know if I pronounce that right. Sarah Olarinde, Rachel Ota, I think UTEH, Ife, Temitope Ajayi, Ikenna Oduna, and Abdulaziz Temitope. Please reach out to us. Reach out to Anthony, or you can send a mail, and they will follow up on what to do next. Thank you, everyone, for this beautiful session, and do have an amazing day. Thank you, everyone, for staying ultra.
Thank you, everyone, and also
For
thank
people,
you to the Wave team for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. The name is Daniel Momo. Yeah, that's my profile picture. So you can just drop a message. I will definitely respond. Thank you.
All right. Thank you also, Daniel. Daniel, just stay on the call. Everyone, thank you so much for your time. You can drop off now, so that we can just wrap up. I think I would just end the meeting because some people are still on the call. But Daniel, I'll reach out to you after this.
Okay.
Thank you so much again for pouring out on our alumni, and then also for this beautiful session. I know you took out time, energy, but for you to be able to do this, we just want to say thank you on behalf of Wave, and hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
great day.
I would be ending the meeting now. A lot of thank yous. Thank you.